Continuing with Rav Drukman's 10th lecture on Rav Kook's introduction to Shir HaShirim, we're dealing with Ahavat Yisrael, love of Israel, love of mankind, and how this is part of and a necessity for love of self. One of the principles that we have to understand when we're looking at the world is that all of creation, every living thing, every human, every plant, every inanimate object are connected to each other. They all come out of divine creation, and they're all emanations of the divine. But this is seen at its utmost point in Am Yisrael. The unity of Am Yisrael can be seen in the pasuk from Vayikra, Yud-Tes Yud-Ches, Lo sikom lo situr es b'nei amecha, that you will not be jealous of, you will not take revenge, you will not bear a grudge against my children is your nation, meaning against the Jewish people. This prohibition of not bearing a grudge is very hard for most people to understand. I mean, someone insulted me, someone hurt me, someone damaged me. How is it that I can't in some way carry a grudge against them, feel, listen, they hurt me, I should be able to take my revenge, I should be able to at least not like them, keep my distance from them, and so on. The Yerushalmi has an answer to this. It's a very interesting answer. And it's in Nidrim, Perek Tes, Halach Dalet. It says, Heich Avidah have mikate Cupid, umachat Sכינא liado, tachzor ותמחי לידיה. A person is chopping meat, and they're holding the piece of meat in, let us say, their left hand, and they're chopping with their right hand. And as they're chopping, the right hand, the knife held by the right hand, cuts the left hand. Is it possible, he says, for the left hand to then want to take the knife and cut the right hand? No, we don't feel this way, that the left hand doesn't want to do this, because the pain of the left hand is also felt by the right hand. That is to say, that in our own body, we perfectly understand that it is one body. The right and the left hand are intimately connected to each other. The left hand, yes, the left hand is cut and hurt, but the left hand doesn't feel, it sounds sort of ridiculous, but I think this is the point. The left hand doesn't feel it has to take revenge on the right hand. So too, when a person is able to perceive the unity of Klal Yisrael, the two members of Klal Yisrael are just as closely connected as the right and the left hand in a spiritual sense that is hidden from our eye. That's true, but the connection is still there. When a person is able to understand that we are one entity, Yeshut Echat, one being, right? Then, even though someone has injured me in some way, I'm aware that that has to be because there is some lack of understanding in him. In the same way that the right hand was not aware it was going to cut the left hand when it made that fateful cut. So too, if this person truly understood the connection that exists between us, it would have been impossible for him or her to hurt, damage, or insult me in that way. It's an absolute impossibility for such a thing to happen. Therefore, if I can bring myself to that point of understanding, and then when something negative happens to me, I can understand that there was no intent here, there was no desire, there was no feeling that this is what the person wanted to do. And therefore, there is no reason on my part at all that I would want to take revenge against them. I would want to do anything to them. The Tanya raises us up to understanding the deep connection that exists between each and every person in Israel. He says, "Nekראו kol Yisrael אחים mamash," that Israel are literally called brothers. Mitzad shorsh nafsham b'Hashem echad, because the root of all of their neshamas is in one God. Rak שהגופים מחולקים, only the bodies are divided. That is to say, if you look at two brothers, they share the same parents, or at least one parent, if they're half brothers, half siblings, but assuming they're full siblings, they share the same parents. They come from the same place, but they're two separate bodies. So too in the same spiritual way, the neshama of each person is a piece of the part of the divine that is found under the kisei hakavod. These are words that we use so that we can understand it, not that it is a proper description of God. That the source of our neshamas are the same. Just like the source of the body of two brothers are the same, the source of the neshamos are the same. Since the source of the neshamos are the same, but we're divided into two different bodies, we are as closely related as two brothers. And as we understand this, right, that will allow us to come to the proper levels of caring and affection and love for one another. We are divided by the physical screen upon which we perceive this world, but masach, screen, is also a partition. And this physical screen prevents us, our physical bodies prevent us from truly understanding, and I shouldn't say understanding, from truly seeing the spiritual connection that connects all of us. If the eye could see through the screen and perceive what is spiritual and not physical, we would of course be in a place where we could appreciate the unity of us all, the close spiritual relationship that is between all of us. But again, it's only that we were brought into the physical world that prevents us from seeing these spiritual realities. And we do this because as we perceive the world through our physical eyes, we then feel, it is a natural thing, that the physical body is the most important thing, and the neshama is secondary to it. But if we are going to understand truly what love of the other person is, right, we have to come to the realization that the neshama is, the soul is the principle, and the body is the secondary, is the tefel. That the love between us has to come from the fact that it is the eternal connection of the neshama and not the physical body, which eventually, no matter how you look at it, will be bata, will be no longer existent. The Gemara in Shabbos, Lamed Aleph Amud Aleph, tells a story about a non-Jew who comes to Hillel and says, "Gereni almanas shetalmideinu kol Torah kulo kasher ani omed al regel achas." A non-Jew comes to Hillel and says, "Convert me on condition that you teach me the entire Torah while I stand on one leg." That means very quickly, right? And Hillel responds, "Da'lech sani lacharvach lo tavid." What is hateful to you, to your friend, do not do. He says, this is the entire Torah. Zil Gamir. Go, now you can go and learn. The standard way of explaining Hillel is that he is saying that doing damage to another person is one of the principal aspects of the Torah. Many, many other mitzvos are dependent upon it. However, the Tanya, again, explains it in a much, much deeper way. Ki yisod v'shorsh kol haTorah hu lahagbiya v'halot hanefesh al haguf mala mala. The basic root of the Torah is to raise the neshama, the spirit, above al haguf, over and above the body, higher and higher. The mitzvah of ve'ahavta lirecha kamocha, of loving your neighbor as yourself, is only possible to fulfill when you understand that the neshama is the ikar and the body is the tefel, that the neshama is the principle, the soul is the principle, and the body is secondary. When a person is capable of concentrating solely on the side of his neshama, he can truly love another person because he understands that he and that other person are in fact one. The idea, the principal idea of the Torah, the Tanya says, is to understand Hatzad Hanishmati, the spiritual side of what we are. So when Hillel says, Da'alach sani lachavrach lo savid, what is hateful to you, don't do to another person, he is revealing the idea that the neshama has to come before the body. And when you understand that, and that is, as the Tanya said, a if not the principal aspect from which we are supposed to grow in the Torah, that learning the Torah is supposed to promote this idea more and more, no matter what aspect of the Torah it is, then Hillel, in fact, taught the entire Torah while standing on one foot. It's a very different understanding, although the differences people might see as subtle, but it's a very different and very powerful understanding of what Hillel said. And it's also a different way of looking at what avodat Hashem is, what service of God is. We will leave it here today and pick up with the next part of this lecture next week. Everyone should have a wonderful day.